Everyone. Today we'll study about sampling theory. And first of all, we'll learn some basic concepts and the terminologies in sampling theory. The first one is random sampling. It is a large collection of individuals or numerical data, and we refer that as population, or we can call it as universe. Okay, a sample is a finite subset of universe, and a sample size is nothing but the number of individuals in a sample, that we call it as a sample size. For example, set of all students in a college, particular college, maybe that one we refer to as a population or universe. In that case, what could be a sample? It is a subset of that universe, right? So in that case, I'm selecting only students from electrical department, or I'm selecting only students from mechanical department. So in that case, it's a finite subset from the whole population, correct? So that we call it as a sample. And the next one, sample size, means it's a number of individuals in that particular department. That we call it as a sample size. And the next one is sampling. Sampling refers to the process of selecting sample from the population. So the process of selection is called sampling. Okay, and then what do you mean by random sampling? It means it should be a fair one, correct? So each individual having the same chance of being selected. So it should not be biased. So that we call it as a random sampling. So we are taking a sample, and each one is having the probability of being selected at random. And there are types in random sampling. So if the members cannot be chosen more than once, then we call it as a sampling without replacement. So sometimes if the same members can be chosen again, then we call it as a sampling with replacement. And the last one is simple sampling. If the trials are independent and the probability of success is a constant, then we call it as a simple sampling. Okay, here suppose if we take different samples of size n drawn from a population. So, as I told already, it's like from a college, we are selecting 30 students from mechanical department, 30 students from electrical department, like that. So, that we call it as a sample of size n. So, it should be the same. So, we can calculate the mean and standard deviation for each sample, correct? And definitely every sample of size n, the mean and standard deviation will not be the same. So if we group the characteristics according to their frequencies, the frequency distributions are called sampling distributions. And the standard deviation of sampling distributions, that we call it as a standard error. So sampling distribution of large size is assumed to be automatically a normal distribution. So just now we have studied about types of distribution. So if the sample size is large, we assume that it's a normal distribution. Now coming to the test of hypothesis. So first of all, what do you mean by hypothesis? So in order to arrive at a decision regarding the population through a sample of population, we have to make certain assumptions. That we call it as a hypothesis. The hypothesis may or may not be true, but first we have to make some assumption. Okay, the hypothesis formed for the purpose of its rejection under the assumption that it's true, that we call it as a null hypothesis. I repeat, there are two hypotheses. One is null hypothesis, the other one is an alternate hypothesis. So the hypothesis formed for the purpose of its rejection. So under the assumption that it's going to be true, that we call it as a null hypothesis. And its complement, opposite of null hypothesis, is alternate hypothesis. For example, we are testing two products, okay, two health drinks. So in that case, how I form the hypothesis that, okay, there is no difference between them. It's like almost the calories or the energy is going to be the same. So that is how we'll fix the hypothesis. And then finally we'll come to a conclusion whether the hypothesis is true or not, or we are going to accept it or reject that. So here comes the type 1 and type 2 error. Yeah. Now if you see, initially if the hypothesis is true, we have two choices, right? So either we can accept it or we can reject it, correct? So already the hypothesis is true, and I'm accepting it, so it's a correct decision, it's a good decision. If I reject it, then it's a wrong decision, right? Then we call it as a type 1 error. Same way, if the hypothesis is false, it's a false one. I am accepting the false one means that's a wrong decision, right? That we call it as a type 2 error. And I'm rejecting it, that's a, if I reject a wrong hypothesis or a false hypothesis, then it's a correct decision. So this is called type 1 and this is called type 2 error. So what should we do to minimize error? First of all, we have to increase the sample size. I can give you a small example for type 1 and type 2 error. Okay. Someone is trying to sell some gold biscuits, okay, biscuits to us. So assume that it's a pure gold, it's of good quality. So hypothesis, I'm taking that it's of good quality and really it is good. Hypothesis is really true. And and he's going to sell it for a very cheaper rate. Okay. So in that case, if I accept it, that's a correct decision. But still, if I have a doubt that it couldn't be a very good one, so I'm not taking the deal. I'm not going to lose much, but I'm losing a good deal. So that we call it as a type 1 error. The other case, the person who is going to sell you the gold biscuit or whatever it is, so he's saying that it's of good quality and it's a fake one. Okay. You are paying the money and he's saying that it's a very good quality and I'm just going to sell it for a very lower price and it's a good deal, take it and all those things he's saying. But really that is not a good goal. So you are paying the money and getting it. So in that case, it's a type 2 error. It's a big loss for us, correct? If we accept that deal. So in case if I'm getting a doubt and I'm rejecting it, that's a correct decision. So errors may happen, and so to reduce the error, what we have to do, we have to increase the sample size. And not only that, the sample should be a proper sample. For example, a sample of 30, he is arranging the 30 people to say something which is against the fact. So in that case, those sample will give a wrong idea. So as I told you, the acceptance or non-acceptance based on sample. And this sample may not be true always. So we have to be very careful when we are taking a sample. And the next one we are going to learn about is a critical region, or we can call it as a region of rejection. It is a region which amounts to rejection of null hypothesis. So before learning about significance level and critical region, again I'll give a small example that we are going to a shop to buy a shirt or whatever it is. So you like the color, design, everything, and there is only one piece and you're about to take it. That was in an offer or something like that. You're about to take it and then you saw a small black mark kind of thing, very very minute in the shirt. So the shopkeeper is saying that it's okay, we'll give more discount, and if you wash it, that will go for sure. So so in that case, you are accepting it or rejecting it. So there is a region, right? So some people will accept it, some people will reject that. Okay. So something similar to that we call it as a significance level. The level is nothing but it's a probability level below which that leads to the rejection of hypothesis. That we call it as a significance level. So if the mark or the damage is too big, definitely everyone is going to reject. But if it's very less, there is a chance that people may take it, correct? So the probability is conventionally fixed at 0.05, that is 5% or 1% significant level. So we feel confident in rejecting the hypothesis at 1% level than at 5% level of significance. So how we come to the conclusion that we can, the region of accepting it or rejecting it. So here we use the standard normal variate, that is z is equal to x bar minus mu by sigma by root n. So this x bar is nothing but sample mean and n is nothing but a sample of size n. So now if you remember the normal distribution table, if you see that 95% lies between the value minus 1.96 to 1.96, and 99% lies between minus 2.58 to 2.58. If you see the diagram, you can relate to it. Yeah, if you see here, minus 1.96 to 1.96. This area under the curve is 95%. Okay, 5% is divided on either side. If you see this here, area under the curve is, of course, this should be even more less. The area under the curve is 99%. And this value is nothing but minus 2.58 to 2.58. And leftover is 1% on, it's like together, if we take both sides together, leftover is 1%. So 99% I am accepting it. Here 95% is the acceptance level. Acceptance level depends, correct? So if the hypothesis is true and the values lie between minus 1.96 and 1.96, in case that it may not be, it's like it's 5%, right? So it's very less. The probabilities of going to be happening is only 5%. So this is the majority region. So if it lies within this, we can accept it. So here we are focusing on the both sides, two tails. So if we focus on attention lies on the two tails of the distribution, then we call it as a two-tail test. Sometimes we want to observe only the extreme value and only one side of the mean, maybe only the positive side or only the negative side. So in that case, we call it as a one-tail test. So there are two types of test, one tail and two tail. So if we concentrate in both the region, then we call it as a two tail. Only one region, then we call it as a one tail test. If we do some problems, then you will understand what exactly it is. And the critical value already I have discussed for two tail test, right? So minus 1.96 to 1.96 and minus 2.58 and 2.58. Here the critical level for one tail test is 5% level is minus 1.645 or 1.645, because we don't know, we are interested in the negative side or the positive one. It depends on the problem. Similarly, for 1% level, it's minus 2.33 or 2.33. So till here we studied about the basic concepts. Just a small recap. What are the topics we have studied? Random sampling, and the second one is sample. And what do you mean by sample size? And in random sampling also we have subdivisions like sampling with replacement, without replacement, simple sampling, etc. And then we studied about test of hypothesis. This is very important. So null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. And then we studied about type 1 and type 2 error, and then the significance level, right? The test of significance and the confidence intervals. So, and then two tail test and one tail test, and you have to be careful with these values. So first of all, we have to check whether the problem is a two tail test or a one tail test, and then for 5% or 1% significant level, we'll refer these values. Okay, thank you.